Hi, it is speech pathologist Rebecca Ryan King, and this is one of the most stubborn sounds I think I come across in my speech therapy room. K and G can sometimes be really hard to elicit. I think it's just because the back of the tongue, it has to lift up, and a lot of our other sounds require the front of the tongue, and so this can just be a really hard movement for some kids to do. Now, a lot of the times I like to talk about the back sound or the sound in our throat, and it's a favorite cue of mine. But as we all know, those cues don't work for every single child. So I want to give you 3 fresh new ideas or 3 different ways that you can describe this sound and hopefully elicit a clear G. The first the first way that I like to teach G is to talk about something that the child can connect with. And I'll ask them if they've ever heard the noise that water makes as it goes down a drain. Like if you're in the sink or in the bathroom, the shower, like, do you know what that sound is? And I usually do something like this with my finger. I pair a gesture. And I'll say to the child, it sounds like this. It's like glug, 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 glug as it goes the way down. And I'll say, do you think you can try to make that water going down the drain sound? And we do that. And what it does, if you hear me, I'll say it a bit slowly now, glug, glug, glug. It's approximating a bit of a G there. I know it might not be what we call like a perfectly clear G, but I'm just trying to get a little bit of the back of the tongue making contact with the roof of the mouth and just the tongue back a bit so we're not doing tongue forward stuff. And I might see if I can turn or shape that into a clearer G. So then we might say, oh, that's really good water. Now we've got so much water because we just took out the plug in the bath, and it's going to sound like this, G, G, G. And I might try to turn it more into a clearer G, and then from there I might be able to show them some cards and say, remember, it's like that water going down the drain sound. So that's your first little tip to try. The second cue you might use is a really fun analogy about gluing our tongue. Now, if you've got a glue stick, you can pull it out, but this is something where we're pretending. We're going to pretend that we're going to glue the tip of our tongue to the bottom of our teeth, like this. And so I might get glue and I might pretend and put it on, and I'm going to say, my tongue is stuck now, and it is not allowed to leave that spot now that I've glued it down. And I'll see if just by anchoring the tip of the tongue to the bottom back teeth, if that can help lift up the back of the tongue, because often our child will lift the tip of the tongue and say D, so it's up the top like that. So by gluing the tip of our tongue down to our back teeth, it might encourage the back of the tongue to raise. G, like that. And again, it might sound a little bit awkward at first. It might require some shaping. You might say, let's do it a bit softer now. G. And see if you can turn that sound into something that sounds like a more natural, clear G sound. The last little metaphor I like to use is the gorilla sound, and I've got this really nice visual. We have lots of little animal mouth cues, and they have alliterative animal names. So this here is my grouchy gorilla, and I like that there's a G in grouchy and there's a G in gorilla, and we're doing the G sound. So it's just really nice for the child to hear. And because with the G sound, we need our tongue back, I like to beat my chest. And it really helps to pair that sound. Like we've got to be a really grouchy gorilla, and the sound's made like back here, G, G, G. And if the child says D, 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 I'll use my fingers in a gesture and I'll say, what? That sounds like a different sound. You know, that sounds like a dog digging. And I've got a little digging dog picture. We've got to do this grouchy gorilla who's really grouchy, and his tongue goes back in his mouth, G, G, G. And I'll see if that can help the child just to get that G sound. Alternatives to the back sound, alternative to like a baby sound. But I hope at least one of them might be able to help at least one of your current students or future students get the G sound and just help them on the path, because like I said, I do find that it is one of the most stubborn sounds. So it means as speech pathologists and parents, we have to get a little extra creative with how we teach our kids. Now, if you learnt new cues today, if you were just thinking, those are 3 new things that I've never heard, please like this video. It really helps me to create more content and knows what you like, so I can keep creating more videos to help parents, speech pathologists and students treat speech sound disorders.